This is a 1992 fully electric Nissan 300ZX. It goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
30, 60.
And it is all-wheel drive with a 200-mile range. Stay tuned to see how we go from stock to fully electric on this epic build. We started this build in my garage after getting laid off. This is one of the first builds after starting my new company. So this was a non-turbo 2+2. The exterior and interior were both in very good condition. Yeah, I gotta love the roof. Just a really awesome car. So it actually does have kind of back seats here. We started by removing the exhaust. Rusty bolts means that we did a lot of cutting. We also removed drive shafts, the rear differential, go down. Oh, okay, there it is. Rear differential out, as well as the drive axles. We had some good helpers along the way. Next was the gas tank. That has to come out too. Oh my gosh. As well as draining the coolant. Oh, shit. Come on, man. And all the other fluids. Took out the transmission. For all the components like engine, transmission, these are all designated to help another 300ZX in need. We then tackled the OEM harness, removing all the wires that were not needed. And man, it is just amazing how many wires are required to run a car. As well as some of the components that were not needed. We did strip the entire interior. Oh. No. Removing the steering column, brake booster, brake pedal, and the dash was also removed. All the way to bare bones. This dash did have some separation over the years. We were able to repair it to try and get it to look as good as new. For this build, and all of our builds, we use a workflow that involves 3D scanning. So we did a lot of scanning of various components, put them into CAD so that we could design for all the new components that needed to be added. First up was the brake system. We used an all-electric eye booster. So we scanned, we had to adapt the firewall, 3D printed to make sure everything fit, and then made one out of steel. Got some new brake fittings, and we made new brake lines. Modified the pedal mount. There we go. Did some cutting and welding. Got a new brake pedal and complete new brake system. To make it functional, we had to complete the wiring as well as all the brake fittings.
Oh my gosh, that is so easy.
And the all-electric power braking system works great. Next up was the charge port. We used the same location as the gas fill port. This had a few bolt holes that we could use, so we scanned, designed, 3D printed to check fitment, and then made one out of metal. And yes, for this build, only premium electrons. Next up was mounting the DC to DC converter. After that was mounting the electric AC compressor, 3D scanning, 3D printing, and then making one out of metal. And just like that, the AC compressor is installed. Next was on to the cooling system. So after some careful planning, we got some electric coolant pumps, a new radiator, a new fan.
Yep, that's going the right direction.
And all the manifolds, tubing, couplings, and everything needed to get the coolant where it needs to go. We finished off the front grille with some mesh. For today's sponsor, we have ThinkCar. This is an automotive diagnostic tool. It's kind of got a nice rugged foam case. I think it'd be very durable. All right, we're gonna try out this scanner on my daily driver. So let's go plug it in and see what it can do. So this is a bi-directional tool, and it allows for active test function. You can use it for adjusting throttle, turning on radiator fan, testing fuel injection faults, fuel trim reset, pump valve tests, as well as coolant bleeding. So this can shorten diagnostic times and reduce costs. It has things to test engines, transmissions, SRS, as well as ABS systems. You can reset things like ABS, throttle adaptation, brake reset, airbag reset, injection cooler, oil reset. So if you work on cars, you know how frustrating it can be to have that check engine light come on. So ThinkCar makes a diagnostic tool that can help you with this. This gives you a professional grade diagnostic scanner that gives you access to the vehicle's systems. So you can scan for trouble codes, read DTC, read live data, and see what your car's actually doing instead of guessing. And this goes way beyond just reading codes. So you can pull up your vehicle's information, view diagnostic data, and this really helps you pinpoint those problems much, much quicker. So if you're working on a project, having a tool like this can come in handy. So I love products like this. If it can save even one trip to the mechanic, it's probably worth it. So if you're interested in something like this, I'll leave a link in the video description below. We also got dual Model 3 performance motors, a rear and a front. That means we had to take off the rear subframe, as we were going to use the complete Tesla subframe. For the front, we also wanted to use as much of the Tesla subframe as we could. That meant removing the front subframe. So we positioned the motor in the back. Oh, that is looking so good. Some nice calipers. And with scanning, realized that there was going to be slight interference with the back seat. So we did some cutting and welded in sheet metal panels. From here we designed a new subframe that would mount to the original subframe mounts.
So no slop?
Lots of fabrication and welding.
We did okay.
We found all the structure points that we could to make sure that this was very robust. Lots of triangulation to make sure things are nice and rigid. We do coat all of our bare metal to protect them against the elements. We're gonna go ahead and take off a lot of these supports and things and watch it hang. We're mounted. For suspension, I 3D printed a mount for the top perch with a laser pointer. This pinpointed the exact position on the lower control arm that the suspension would need to be attached. So we 3D scanned.
It all goes together.
And designed a top suspension mount for some custom coilovers. These pieces just slid right in, locked in place, and then we could weld them. After everything was coated, it was onto the lower mounts. We utilized the Tesla lower control arms and reinforced the points where the coilover would attach. Now the back end was ready to be put on the ground. One of the things that came with the Tesla subframe were the OEM calipers. The calipers have internal electronic parking brakes. So with some wiring and a control board, we used the original handbrake to be able to activate the electronic parking brake.
These guys can move. That is so awesome.
Then it was on to the front subframe. For the front motor, Tesla doesn't have a true subframe. They have part of a subframe and then they rely on the unibody. So this was probably the most challenging part of the build. We wanted to make a new subframe that would include all the suspension points as well as the motor mount. We cut pieces, tacked them in place, including the unibody. That way we're assured to have all the suspension points in the exact right position. Once everything was tacked in place, we removed the unibody. This allowed us more access for more welding and more supports. Once our custom subframe was complete, we then needed to mate it with the 300ZX front. This involved cutting shock towers to make room for the Tesla shock towers. So the top suspension points were now in place. We scanned and 3D printed brackets to test how we would mount the lower subframe. Once we were happy with our design, we got pieces made out of steel and welded them to the Nissan chassis. Once our new subframe was welded, we were able to mount the front motor. As our new subframe joined the Tesla with the Nissan, we needed a custom solution for front suspension. So we got some new coilovers, assembled the brakes, and put on the Tesla wheels. At this point, the car could be lowered and put its weight on the wheels. Speaking of wheels, we did not like the look of the Tesla wheels on a Nissan 300ZX, so we designed and 3D printed new wheels. So we took off the old ones, mounted the new ones. We had to check for caliper clearance, as well as we did not want it to poke out past the fenders. After several iterations, we got new wheels made, and they look fantastic. It really is the pinnacle of the build. It brings everything together. We did refinish the calipers and put the Nissan logo on them. With the Tesla wheels off and our custom wheels on, this ride is really starting to take shape. You may have noticed we're no longer in the garage in my house. I was able to grow my business, and now we have our own dedicated shop with a few employees. I'm so grateful for the opportunity for this business to grow. Next, it's on to batteries. We have a great relationship with a battery manufacturer where we are able to specify the exact configuration, kilowatt hours, as well as discharge rate that we need. This really helps with battery box design to be able to fit the batteries in the spaces that we need. There's a lot that goes into these batteries with all these circuits, battery management system, and safety features. We also designed battery mounts and had half the pack in the front where the engine was and the other half in the rear where the rear seat was. So we tied into some very secure mounting points, finished assembling the rear battery, and installed it. So from here, there's lots of programming and system tests to make sure everything's safe. Then comes the exciting part where we see the motor's first spin. And now we get to take it for a test drive. So some of the important things are to check acceleration as well as regen.
We're gonna do a little burnout. We feel like that's important. It's for testing. It's for company purposes. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So that's very quick. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Right. 3, 2, 1.
Can I tell you, this car is quick. But after the first drive, we are far from done. Next, we tackle power steering. So the vehicle originally had hydraulic power steering, and we are switching to electric power steering. We got a full electric rack. We're modifying to fit with the Nissan subframe. So after some fabrication and some wiring, we have power steering, and it is nice and easy.
Power steering working.
Next, we wanted to create a custom gear selector. We wanted to make this look like a manual shifter. So we've got some electronics and sensors on the inside, and on the outside it shifts like a manual. At this point in the business, we invested in a laser cutter. Its full name is Larry Sir Cuts a Lot Laserface. It really helps us go from prototype to finished part very quickly. This also provides laser welding. I have to say, laser welding does a pretty good job. Once it's installed, it shifts very much like a manual.
Very satisfying, kind of clunk, clunk, clunk.
Now it's on to heat and AC. So we've got these electric systems that we want to tie into the original OEM Nissan controls. So we've got to fill up and calibrate our AC system, as well as come up with solutions for how to make the OEM controls work with our electronic systems. For both heat and AC, we've got this working great. We've even got the blend door working to dial in the exact temperature you want.
Turn on the car.
We added a fingerprint scanner to start the car. We also added a custom gauge. The custom display turned out great, as well as a custom center console. This involved scanning, designing, 3D printing.
Yeah, it took quite a bit of design time and fitting and stuff to get these all right.
And we got it to look very OEM. Another thing that we wanted to add was some custom wheel well guards. So scanning, 3D printing, and some fiberglass. And these turned out great and will protect the underside of the car. Next, we wanted to finish the interior where we added the rear battery box. This was in the rear seat area, so we designed a cover. We 3D printed it, assembled it, did some filling and sanding, added some fiberglass, did some fine tuning, and added some upholstery. Now the interior of the back looks very finished. Another thing we wanted to do was add a custom rear diffuser. This was to fill up the space where the rear exhaust ports were. So we scanned, we designed, we 3D printed. We used some pour and fill foam to get an exact fit and sanded everything for a nice finish. This time we went with carbon fiber. So after our layup and vacuum bagging, we removed it and did a clear coat and assembled it on the car. Another thing we did was add some underpaneling to protect all of our electronics, cabling, and motors. So kind of got front all the way to the back. Next, we did get a final weight. This was almost 3,900 pounds. So with the build complete, we had to do some range testing. Now we're gonna go put some miles on it. We're gonna go up the canyon and back. The outside temperature is 98, so we've got the AC going, so that'll affect the range a little bit, but it's all part of what needs to happen. It's all part of how the car is gonna be used. So realistic range is what we need. So first, let me just say I love driving this car. The other thing that's just awesome is the looks you get. This is a 90s iconic classic, so I get lots of thumbs up. It's pretty recognizable. And it's just awesome, it looks awesome. I also want to talk about the driving experience. With the power steering, it feels very nimble. I love the fact that it's all-wheel drive. It gets off the line really, really quickly. It is very quiet. The other thing I will say is it is surprising me at the mileage it's getting. Regenerative braking works out very well. Again, you can pretty much do one pedal driving. We do have very aggressive brakes, so when you need a brake, it brakes really hard, it bites really nicely. So doing all the calculations, where did we end up with range? It's right around 200-mile range, but for usable mileage, it's more like 185, 190. We are over the top thrilled with how this turned out, both inside and out, from custom gauges and center consoles on the inside, to custom rear diffusers and dual motors on the outside. This Nissan 300ZX is truly one of a kind. We do these builds all the time. If you'd like to know what one of these builds costs, I'll leave a link to a video on cost right up here. If you'd like our shop to take on your project, send us an email at electricsupercar@gmail.com. We have done a few builds and we've got several more underway. Here we go! Please subscribe so you can check out all our builds. That'll do it for this time. See you next time.